Okay, hello everyone. We've got here lines 268 down to about 289. There's loads of stuff here on content and context, so make sure that you know who all of these people are. I'm not going to talk about them now because that'll take far too long because there are simply too many of them. Ibant obscure, this following on immediately from the passages that we were talking about today, whereby we've had the death of Maecenas and we've also had Aeneas breaking off the golden bough. And these two events mean that he is now able to go down into the underworld, along with the Sibyl. So on they went. Ibant, good question. First of all, who were the they? Well, it was Aeneas and the Sibyl. Ibant, on they went dimly, on they went obscuri, in the dark. Sola sub nocte per umbran. On they went through the dark, through the shade, under the lonely night. Perque. And through the domos vacuas, the empty halls of Dis, and the inania, and the empty realm again, the phantom realm. So on they went in the dark, under the lonely night. Here you've got transferred epithets. Actually, here almost switched epithets. You would almost imagine that actually they were the soli, and that the nocte was in fact perhaps obscured out, but it's not. They've switched it around. They've transferred the epithets from one and the other, mingling of this darkness. On they went in the dark, under the lonely night, through the shadow, and through the doors. It's great. Through the doors of the empty, doors of Dis, and then the inania. We've got again. You've got a chiastic sentence here, chiastic structure, and the empty realm and the phantom realm. Quale, such as through, even as, I suppose a simile here, just as, we would say here, just as through the incertam lunam, just as through the uncertain light, moon, just as through the uncertain moon, sub, under the dark light, there is a journey in the woods. Ubi, when the sky condidit. Ubi Jupiter, when Jupiter has buried the sky in shadow, in umbra, and the atra nox, and the dark and the black night has stolen colour from rebus, from everything. Vestibulum ante ipsum primisque in faucibus orci. This next bit, just in front, ante ipsum, before the entrance itself. Before the entrance itself. Right within the very jaws of the underworld, in the faucibus, so just before the entrance itself, right in the primis, in the very jaws of the underworld. Luctus et uticres posuere cubilia curae. Grief, luctus, mourning, grief, and the cubilia cura, and the ultrices and the vengeful cares, posuere cubilia, have set up their cubilia, have set up their beds. This is great imagery going through here, this darkness, palentes que habitant, and the pale diseases, the palentes morbi, the pale diseases live there, and tristis senectus, and sad old age, and metus, and fear, and malessuada fames, and hunger, malessuada, causing sin, and loathsome egestas, loathsome greed, terribiles formae visu, forms terrible to behold, shapes terrible to be seen, terrible in appearance, letumque labos, and death and labos, and suffering, and death and distress. Tum consanguines. Next, the sopor leti. Next, the what did we want to say for this? Next, the consanguinis leti. Next, sleep. The consanguinis. Consanguineos. Next, sleep. The brother of death, and the and the guilty joys of the heart, and the guilty joys of the heart, and the mala gaudia, and the guilty joys of the heart, and bellum, and on the opposite at verso in limine, all of these horrific entities hanging out in this house, and on the threshold opposite mortiferum, death bringing mortiferum bellum, death bringing war, more chiastic structure there. Interesting, of course, that he would even refer to war here, when later on we're going to be sort of told that this is the Roman art. Anyway, fereque, I get distracted. The iron cells, the fere, the iron cells of the Furies, the fere talami, these are the rooms that the iron rooms that they torture people in, and the iron realms, the iron rooms of the Furies, and mad strife. I love this next bit, inexa, and mad strife, having entwined her vipereum crinem, her snaky hair, with bloody wheaties, with bloody bands. Inexa, having entwined her snaky hair with bloody bands. In medio ramos anosaque brachia pandit. In the midst, in the middle, an ulma, an elm tree. In the middle, an elm tree, shadowy and vast, opaca ingens. In the middle, an elm tree, shadowy, opaca, vast, pandit, spreads her ramos, her branches, and her anosa, brachia, and her elderly and her aged arms, comma, sedem, connecting relative here. A home which, so this is a sedem, a home which ferunt, which they say, somnia vana, that false dreams hold. A home which they say false dreams hold, hirent, they cling to under every leaf, sub omnibus foliis. Multaque praeterea variarum monstra ferarum. And then we get this mixture of all these different monsters and beasts, and the many, and furthermore, the multa monstra, the many monstrous forms of variarum ferarum, of various beasts. Centauri, the centaurs, stand in the foribus. The centaurs stand at the doors, and the double-shaped scyllas. The double-shaped could actually be referring to the centaurs or the scyllas. Make sure that you know, obviously, centaurs famously man and horse, but also that you've got the monstrous of the Scylla. I think it was the Scylla was the creature that ate some of Odysseus' companions. I think it's a woman's head with dogs around the waist. So the jewel-formed Scyllas, and the contum geminus brireus, and the hundred-bodied brireus, and the beast of Lerna, that's the Hydra, which Hercules, more links here with Hercules. Hissing, stridens, sibilants there, almost onomatopoeia. Hissing, to be horrored at, but yes, hissing horribly. And the Armata, and the Chimera, it was of course defeated by Bellerophon, and the Chimera, Armata, armed with flames, and the Gorgons, of which you have one of which was Medusa, and the Harpies, and the Umbrae forma tricorporis, and the shadow and the form of the three-bodied shadow. That's referring to Geryon, a giant that Hercules once killed during his journeys. Well done, lots of monsters there, lots of things to look up and figure out what they are and what the reference is to it, but I'm not going to do it in this brief translation. Well done, and I will see you all on Thursday, I believe.